Final question. I have to talk to you about Sarah Palin. You know, if you look at the polling, the people who are voting against John McCain say the primary reason they're voting against him is because of Sarah Palin. They don't believe that she's ready to be vice president. You've heard some grumblings within the Republican Party. I'm sure you've read it already. That circular firing squad already kind of setting up people blaming each other for John McCain's fortunes right now. Do you think, in hindsight's perfect vision, but do you think in retrospect she was the best choice, and do you think your party would have been better served had he gone with either a Joe Lieberman or had he gone with Tom Ridge of Pennsylvania?
Or a Mitt Romney or something like that. Sure, there were some very, very talented people that he was considering. You remember at the time, the Republican Party was not fired up at all.
Right.
Okay, and she fired up the Republican Party. And the crowds, look at the crowds, John McCain before Sarah Palin and the crowds since.
Well,
Sarah
she fired up the base, but did she get beyond that, though?
The point I was going to make is she was the initial great start. And the campaign just completely mishandled her. What they tried to do is in traditional campaigns before 24-hour cable news, you had a situation where they always told you, when you're doing your campaign speech, don't get tired of hearing it yourself. Keep giving it, because you're going to be in Pennsylvania one day, and you're going to go, to Nevada the next day, and Missouri, or wherever you're going, and they've never heard your speech. Well, they kept having Sarah Palin for the first 2 weeks after the convention give the same speech. And people were saying, well, she's just an empty suit. All she does is give this little scripted speech, and we've heard it all before. What they should have been doing at that time is briefing her on some of the international issues, which she was absolutely inexperienced on. Everybody knew that. She's a governor of a state, a tremendous governor, a very popular governor, did a great job as the chief executive up there, but then they should have let her go a little bit. And because she's a great speaker, she's great off the cuff. She's doing a lot better job this last week or so that they've kind of let her have a little more freedom, and that she's getting a little more comfortable with the issues. But has she been a net negative? You could maybe make that argument, but I would blame some of the campaign handlers for her being that net negative, because they did not handle her correctly.
Do you think she's qualified to be president?
Well, I do not think that Barack Obama or her are experienced enough to be president of the United States. Neither one of them. And Hillary Clinton was much more qualified to be president than Barack Obama was, but that's who the nominee is. John McCain's much more qualified than Barack Obama, and certainly Joe Biden's much more qualified than Sarah Palin is. I'd rather have the most qualified person at the top of the ticket, not number two.
John Ensign, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on my program. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Jeff.